I'm back! 1,000,000 years! Alright guys, we're going to be taking a look at LMDE 7. We're doing LMDE because its packages are more up to date. One great thing about Linux Mint is that it's a very consistent experience. It's going to be LMDE, you're going to have the same experience besides the newer packages. You're going to have the same experience on normal Linux Mint. Yep, there's the choppy audio. Thank you, VMware. This is Cinnamon. Linux Mint Cinnamon. I'll show off Linux Mint Xfce later as well. This is the Cinnamon desktop. You'll recognize this from my Cinnamon showcase, except it's got a couple other things. Obviously the wallpaper is Linux Mint. The update manager. This is great. If I don't know, have I updated this? I don't remember. If I do, I'll be able to show off the update manager. Okay, I have a couple updates. So yeah, it's this simple. You just click refresh and then you can install them. No terminal, no nothing, no tomfoolery. As far as I can tell, this is only available on Linux Mint. I don't know of a way to properly integrate this into any other distro. There's also this app, System Reports. That's what was in the tray right there. I just opened. It's got some extra things. We may as well. This has some useful stuff. There's some just like debugging stuff. System information, you can copy this or whatever. Crash reports, if an app has a memory dump or something, you can see it there. Multimedia codecs, which installed a sure. Timeshift. This is nice. Linux Mint comes with Timeshift. Timeshift is in fact a Linux Mint project, so like the update manager. It is a system snapshots tool. If you're using BetterFS, you can make BetterFS snapshots which don't take up disk space, which is really nice. If you start running out of disk space, it'll just overwrite the snapshot. rsync, you will have your disk space. But it works from basically every file system, so you don't have to use BetterFS to use that. I believe you can select BetterFS in the installer, although I may be mistaken. I'm not going to actually do snapshots because I don't have this virtual disk is already tiny, but I'll just go through this to show you. You can do when it does it, you can include whatever folders you want, and then now we can turn it off because I don't actually want this VM isn't going to last long enough for a snapshot to be made, so I don't care. I don't care actually. I don't care at all. In Update Manager, you can also do other things, like package automation. There's just settings for it here, like automatic updates. It'll update Flatpak apps as well, and Cinnamon Spices. Cinnamon Spices are like the GNOME plugins or like the KDE Pling store. It's like the plugin system for Cinnamon. Yep, you can change notification settings here for updates. Here we've got the Software Manager. Oh my nose. Software Manager. Well, Software Manager. It takes a while to load the first time. Just be aware. It takes a while to load. But once it is loaded, it's pretty nice. It reminds me of GNOME software, except better. Supports Flatpak and you can do that. I didn't know you could do that. You want to turn this on. It supports Flatpak and system packages. In fact, you can change which ones are shown here. So, by unverified Flatpak, they mean like if someone other than Google made a Google Chrome Flatpak, it wouldn't show it. But FlatHub has pretty good moderation, so I wouldn't worry about this. I would just turn this on so that you can see all the packages, because a lot of packages are quote unquote unverified. It's not like the AUR. It's much better than that. But yeah, you can install, I don't know, whatever you want. Let's get some packages. Let's try a Qt package. Let's see if, or a Qt, whatever, how you pronounce it. I need to verify that's actually how you pronounce it. PC Man FM. It's a system package. Let's do that. Let's see, installing. Alright, so if you exit out of that page and it's still doing it, it'll appear up here, and you can see what it's doing, which is pretty nice. No screenshots available. Reviews? Where does this lead you? System package. Oh, Linux Mint has their own review system. Anyways, that's done. I can launch it right from here. Let's see how a Qt app looks on Cinnamon. Is my desktop frozen? My mouse is still working. Oop, there we go. That took a second. Yep, it works. It launched. I can click things. Here we got Nemo. We saw this. I'm not going to cover anything in detail that we already covered in the Cinnamon desktop showcase. So if you want to see more Cinnamon specific features, then go there. This is for Linux Mint specifically. Probably have some bookmarks by default for Linux Mint. Nope. I think this is basically stock Firefox. I thought they would have done something at least. They have the title bar turned on, which I don't know how much I like that. I guess it'll match the rest of the system, but it also means there's a bunch of blank space up here. You can turn that off like that. File Manager, the terminal's themed a bit differently. This is the GNOME terminal, except the title bar is gone. Let's see, do we have Mass Fetch? Ah, we do. I didn't install that. I didn't install the... Is that a new logo? It's like the Debian logo with a Linux Mint in it. That's really cool. I didn't even know that was a thing. I really like that. Here we can see, I guess, the theme name. We're using X11. I think it worked besides the wallpaper on Cinnamon on Debian, the Wayland session. It's Debian, so we're using LTS kernel. It's not going to be the most recent, but certainly better than Ubuntu LTS. LMDE 7, at the time of making this video, is currently in beta, but none of the known issues of this beta, none of them will affect the showcase in any way, so probably by the time most people see this, it will be out of beta. Let's see, anything else Linux Mint specific? Some of these apps are by Linux Mint. I think this Web App Manager, yeah, this Web App Manager is from Linux Mint. It's kind of cool. I'm not sure how it works. Matrix. Is this a web app? It is a web app. Okay. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It shows it like a system title bar. Oh, and you still have the browser bar. If I don't think I covered this in the Cinnamon Desktop Showcase, but if an app has a bold name, that means it was recently installed. This is probably a dependency of all the LXQT libraries that PCManif and Qt installed. Fingerprints. This is new. There's a whole fingerprint system now in Linux Mint that's really polished. Let's go through the settings. Some of the things in here, I'll only go through the things that now work now that I'm using Mint. So the simple appearance style selector will work. I can choose the theme. We'll keep it on dark theme. You can also choose Mint Y is the newest one. This is the old Mint theme. That's what Mint X is the old Mint theme. This is what I grew up with, basically. This is what it looked like back then. Man, I remember these title bar buttons are very nostalgic. It's also got a accent color selector. You can do boring. You can make it gray if you're boring like that. Oh yeah, Mint X is only light. Mint L is like the compact Mint theme, I believe. Either of that, I don't remember if it's like compact or if it's like the one that that was a long time ago. I don't remember if this was like the successor to Mint X, but the predecessor to Mint Y, or if this was like a compact. I think this was I'm recognizing this now. Yeah, this is in between these. This was it was first as Mint X, then Mint L, then Mint Y. Mint Y is the newest one. But yeah, I like Mint L too. This is a good one. We can do Breeze, I think, is what that is. Let's do purple. Yaru? Yeah, I think this is the Papyrus icons, and this is using Papyrus folders to colorize all this. Let's do purple. I like purple. Advanced settings is if you... Oh yeah, so you can see them here. The icons are here. I guess Mint Y is based on Papyrus. This is the Cinnamon theme. Now we have the Mint themes installed, so here all they are in a big list. Here's all the icon themes in a big list. Here's all the GZK themes in a big list. And then this is the ones it comes with. I like Libadwaita, although I like the sharp one. I like being able to have a sharp pointer. Google Dot is weird. I messed with this before. It's a circle. I don't know if it's by Google or what. I don't know why it's called Google Dot, but that's Google Dot. As you can see, I'm using that cursor on Windows. When I hover over here, it stays the same. I was using the same cursor. Although Linux Mint has packaged a slightly older version of Libadwaita, which is why you're seeing a slight difference in that left line. The newer version has fixed that. Although Libadwaita has a weird history, so it's kind of hard to package it. We've got some other theme settings. What else didn't work? Was it gestures? Yeah, this needed a package that I didn't have. So you can do swipe gestures, I guess, for... Comes to the firewall. I don't think this was on Debian. Yeah, it comes with uncomplicated firewall, which is a very simple firewall. Very, very simple. You can turn it on and change the, takes a second to apply the rules. You can change the different rules. I do not want to deny outgoing traffic. That would be incredibly annoying. And you can change all this stuff if you want. If you want to allow certain apps to access the internet, you can do that through here. Celluloid, that's a Linux Mint project. It's a great video player. I use it on many distros. Basically, any GTK-based distro where I don't want to use MPV, I'll use Celluloid with my MPV config. It's basically a GTK UI for MPV. In fact, you can put your MPV configuration files into Celluloid, and I do that frequently. Oh, it also supports, fun fact about Celluloid while I'm here. If you go to open, I noticed this because when I was installing Celluloid, I always see YTDLP as a dependency, and I'm like, why is that the case? If you hit open location and you paste a YouTube link, it'll play a YouTube video. It's also a YouTube client, which is kind of awesome. Hypnotix is a TV tuner. I don't know where it gets its shows, but it is there. I am not going to click it because it's probably copyrighted. Transmission is a BitTorrent client. It's a very simple one. It works great. It's based on a modern libtorrent, so it supports all the thingies, all the backend protocols and whatever that you'd need. And it's very simple. It's simpler than qBittorrent, and it comes with Linux Mint. So let's try a GNOME app. This archive manager, I think, yes, this is File Roller, which is normally Libadwaita, but as you can see, this is purple. This is matching my GTK theme. That's because Linux Mint, for a bunch, I think a majority of them are done now. A bunch of the GNOME apps that are being switched to Libadwaita, Linux Mint is making forks of them and holding them back with GTK4 so that they match the system theme, which is really nice. So this is only a thing you can do on Linux Mint because obviously those packages are on the Linux Mint repositories. But if you are using Linux Mint, then you will benefit from that. Warpinator, this is you can install this on any distro, but this is a Linux Mint project. It's like AirDrop, basically. Warpinator. Yeah, I don't use Warpinator here. It works perfectly fine. I have used it before when I use Linux Mint, and it's cool. If I had another computer with or a phone with Warpinator, then you could do this. Android, Windows, and Windows. What is this? What is this mirror? Winpinator? Oh, these are two different Windows clients for Warpinator. I guess they're like community made. That's it. That's pretty short. Oh yes, Xfce. I will be back in just a moment with Linux Mint Xfce, and I'll just do a quick... You'll just see what it looks like, basically. Okay, I just realized LMDE is only available with Cinnamon. So I'll have to showcase normal Linux Mint Xfce, which is fine. Xfce is a slow enough updating desktop environment that it doesn't really matter that Ubuntu has really old packages. And since I'm not going to bother installing this, I can do I can show everything I need to show just from the live environment. In fact, I don't even need a virtual disk, but it's going to make me make one. 1 gigabyte. Here, oh, wrong resolution. Here it is, Xfce, but with the Cinnamon theme and all of the Cinnamon tools, like the Cinnamon settings. Actually, no, this is the Xfce settings. They've just styled it to make it look like Cinnamon. Hello? Oh, there we go. Let me change my desktop resolution. I don't think it likes that I'm using the wrong resolution, but as you can see, all the same apps installed, but it's Xfce, so it's far lighter than Cinnamon. Cinnamon is fairly heavy. The update manager, if this wasn't a live environment, then it would show up here. Got Nemo, I believe. Nope, Thunar. That's lighter than Nemo. That's good that they included that on Xfce, because this is probably for people who can't run Cinnamon. And this is light, and it's also very feature rich, so let me see, display settings. There we go. This is for some reason Linux Mint Xfce has put the show desktop button right here, and then a separator, which I don't want that there. Thank you. If I wanted to show desktop, I'd put it over here. Clock, you can make that to just be only the time if you want that. I think that would look better. But yeah, it's using the whisker menu by default. Kind of resembles the Linux Mint menu. All the same apps, all the same good stuff. Xfce terminal, of course. It's probably got some Xfce apps. Still benefits from the GNOME apps that have been turned back into GTK4. So yeah, it's a pretty great option. This was Linux Mint Xfce was one of the distros that I dailied for a long time on my laptop. I only moved away from it because the Ubuntu base got really, really annoying. Ubuntu doesn't have a very large package repository, and the packages it does have are quite old. And so to install some software and some newer software versions, I ended up having to add a bunch of PPAs to my system, which are kind of like AUR packages or Copper, the Fedora AUR, I'll call it. It's like those, except Ubuntu, and then one of them broke my system. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to bother trying to fix that because I was kind of getting fed up with it. But for the first year or so, it was great. If I had more foresight, I would have installed Linux Mint Debian Edition and then removed Cinnamon and put Xfce on it, because you can do that with a bit of effort, although it takes a bit of configuration. The end.